So back in December, it says December 16th, Kenham posted this comment. Craig claims that a genre analysis indicates Genesis chapters 1 through 11 are not literal and historical. That is totally his opinion based on nothing in the Bible. If he had never heard of evolution, he would never think such a thing about the Genesis text. His main thrust is to compromise the pagan religion of evolution in millions of years with God's word. He's helping atheists undermine the word of God and capture the minds of generations of children.
Now, this is a more substantive paragraph. Unlike the first paragraph, which was a personal attack, this one is a criticism of my view and is therefore welcome. And what I want to say to our viewers today is that my analysis of Genesis 1 to 11 is not just totally my opinion based on nothing in the Bible. In fact, quite the contrary. It is based upon a detailed, painstaking analysis of the text of Genesis 1 to 11, while bracketing modern science so that science does not dictate your analysis of the type of literature that Genesis 1 to 11 is. And to claim that chapters 1 to 11 are not literal and historical is comparable to what virtually everyone says, for example, about the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation is not literal and historical when it talks about a beast or a dragon sweeping the stars from the sky. This is Jewish apocalyptic literature, which is filled with symbolic and figurative language. And so I'm simply suggesting that these chapters are also not of a type of literature that is meant to be read in this sort of literalistic way, and that is not based on opinion. It is based upon a careful examination of the text. Now, as for the charge that if I
want to hit 1.2.
Okay,
he says that you're saying that Genesis 1 through 11 are not historical. As I recall, you think it is historical.
Well, that's a good point, Josh. I was focusing on the word literal, but you're right. I do affirm the historicity of Adam and Eve and the other persons that are involved in the primeval history. I call it a primeval history, but I simply say that the story is told in figurative language. So thank you for that correction.
And I think also something that seriously undermines his point. He's saying the only reason why you're not taking it literal and historical, obviously you are taking it historical, but you're not taking it literally, is because you need to not take it literally to be consistent with evolution in millions of years. But as we know, you can take Genesis literally and be consistent with evolutionary science.
Which is
so what in the world would that can't be a logical motivation to do this, because a literal reading is consistent with Genesis. So what's going on there?
Not only that, but when he says if you'd never heard of evolution, you would never think of such a thing about the Genesis text. That's demonstrably wrong, because the church fathers, Origen and Augustine, had never heard of biological evolution or Darwin, and yet they advocated a figurative reading of the text, much as I do. So what he's claiming
alongside a historical reading, right? You're not saying exclusively.
No, I'm saying that certain aspects of the narrative are in figurative language.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's about real people that actually lived. And that's what Origen and Augustine thought as well.